Poetics, good morning, man. How you doing?
Evolution, I'm doing all right. I made it in today, so I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Yeah, man. You ready to go knock this hot topic out today?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, this is Evolution. The show is What's Going On, and my sidekick right beside me is Mr.
Poetics, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, man. As we do always, we get started with the sponsorship to get it out the way so we can get moving forward with what we got going on for the day. So, with that being said, sponsorship goes out to JG's Lounge, TGBTG, Golden Diamond Productions, Vibe, VYV. Comes in a little value, shake it, sniff it. And if you're moving a little sluggish, it helps pick you up a little bit. Help support the show and get that little discount. Go to myvibe.com, type in Lucian 15, Lution 15, and make that happen. Oh, man. It's been beautiful here in Kansas City, man. Lately, looks like we're looking forward to like 82 degrees today, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I'll take it, man. It can stay as warm as they want to stay.
For real, I ain't worried. I ain't trying to get that cold stuff, that white stuff, or that ice stuff.
Man, man.
I'm all for the non-winter chill season, man. I'm definitely a tropic person. Oh man, dude, you ready for this title today?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Let's get it. Emotional women, emotional men. Man, I think this need to be talked about, bro. Uh, this is another one of your episode topics, man, and I'm loving it, dude. You got to keep them coming. Oh man, so just off the topic, bro, what you got, man?
Man, I think it's funny because I think there's a time and a place for everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like I think sometimes both men and women can operate too heavy on the emotional side, and it kind of puts a monkey wrench in a lot of stuff in general. So,
Right? Monkey wrench is a good word, man, and usually it ain't even about what they tripping on, right? So, what's it really about, bro? Uh, I got some bullet points here that's gonna set fire to a lot of people.
hey, that's what we're here for.
Hey, but we're gonna analyze not just the women, but the men as well, man. So let's get it rolling, man. The first bullet point I have here is emotional women, emotional men. What is it really about? So, first bullet point, self. Uh, man, people had this me against the world, no love, no care for others attitude, man. Uh, just straight selfish, bro. I don't know where that comes from, but what are your thoughts, man?
you know, uh, we live in a society that's kind of like it's all about me, myself, and I.
Hmm.
So when people are not able to kind of get their own way when they want it, the way that they want it, and how they want it, people have a tendency to kind of lash out,
Boy.
and it kind of shows, man. It's really unfortunate, man, because you're thinking, it sometimes you do have to focus on yourself,
Hmm.
but there are just times where it can't just be all about you and only about you. You have to understand that you know all of us make the world go round and not just one person.
Man, well stated. But where did this attitude come from, bro? Because it hadn't been here forever. This like just showed up within the last 5, 10 years, man. I mean, prior to that, people were like not about self. It was about everybody else first, then them. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out where it started, where did it come from, and why is it still existing today, bro? You got any ideas on that?
It could. You know what? It could be a combination of a few different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had the large, COVID virus that swept the world.
Mm,
And I think a lot of people became a bit more standoffish and are like, they're kind of focused on themselves and their loved ones and that sort of thing.
mm,
Um, but also with economics and how everything is aligned, people are finding, I think, more and more difficult to kind of make ends meet and live a comfortable lifestyle. So I think the pressures and the stresses of the world have people kind of in an uproar of trying to just figure out how to just make it. But as a result, they're not focused on the greater good anymore. It's more like the greater good of themselves.
man, that's like that barbarian attitude of the generation that's here right now. And man, I'm hoping that the generation after them figures it out, right?
Man,
But right now, man, this me, I me stuff is really doing too much, man. I mean, I can think about a ton of examples. Uh, but people, the things that they take personal, are really minor, bro. And the things that they need to be throwing a fit about, they got nothing
they
for.
don't.
It's like everything is backwards, man. Uh, uh, that selfishness and that self image that people are trying to, blow up and just focus on and just kind of disregard everybody else, man. That's a sad thing happening. You got anything else on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, just in short, man, that's what's wrong with the world.
Hmm.
Like, um, I mean, there are times when the reality is it could feel like it is you against the world sometimes.
Hmm.
But I think the more if we really sit down and we think about it, we have a whole lot more in common than we do um, that's separate.
Hmm.
So we
Absolutely.
can we can definitely find that common denominator. Like everybody's trying to make it, so it's not just you.
Hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things where if we kind of understand that we're all kind of in the same boat to an extent,
Hmm.
it'll bode well for all of us, really.
Yeah, man. I think people's tolerance level is just non-existent anymore, man. The time we grew up, man, we could tolerate a lot. You know what I'm saying? We dealt with a lot. We can handle a lot. And nowadays, somebody get done wrong once or twice, maybe even just once. They're like, man, I'm done with people. I'm done with everybody. It's all about me. Uh, what are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, man. I think I said it in a previous show we had done. We have to afford each other just a little bit of grace.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, truthfully, we all need it. Like, none of us are perfect. We all can obviously strive to be a better version of our, current selves.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, with that being said, we're all gonna make mistakes. So when that mistake is made from one person to you, you know, depending on what it is, give them a
Right.
little bit of more grace.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, when you make the mistake, you're going to want that grace.
Absolutely, man. And people don't talk it out anymore, man. They ready to do something else, if you know what I mean. Uh, they
Hmm.
go to the way extremes, man. It ain't even about all that, man. It's about communication and talking stuff out, man. You got people ready to just jump off the ledge at any second, man. Guns on the hip, you know what I'm saying, pulling wigs off.
Oh man, right, right.
ready to just, oh man, do damage, bro. People just need to be ready to do good, as far as I'm concerned. Uh, that's all I got on that bullet point, bro.
Yeah, me too, man.
I'm gonna have some extreme examples today, bro. I hope you're ready.
Hey, we need them today. We need them today.
All right, man. Bullet point number two, we're talking about emotional women and emotional men. We just covered how selfish they can be, and how focused on the self they can be. Now we're getting into another bullet point on why is it really about, or what is it really about when when we're talking about the emotional women and emotional men, because it's usually something else other than what they're going off about. So we're going to look at bullet point number 2, which is doubt. Um, People only see the downside of things and negative because of just doubting the possibility of something good happening. What's your focus on that, bro?
Wow, that's a really good point, man, because most people, I think, tend to find themselves in a situation of, this is the hand I was dealt.
Mm,
Um, this is all I know. Therefore, this is all there is for me. And
mm,
it's kind of like, life is definitely a lot more, than even what you know. Um, and a lot of times, getting people to kind of understand that there's another side to what it is that they do know and what they're accustomed to.
mm-hmm.
It's always a task, right?
Yeah, man.
Eh,
Uh, Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's always that task, and I think people find themselves in it's like the world is kind of lost for hope. Uh, you
Mm,
know,
wow,
so it's kind of we need to kind of find a way to uplift each other because I mean, there's always hope.
man, for sure, man. And as you were talking, I was thinking about that cartoon, Inside Out, with all those different emotions, man. And people usually lean towards one emotion, right? Instead of realizing they have all those emotions that work together to balance everything out. Um, and one of those emotions is doubt. A doubtful type of emotion that just doubts everything. It's the end of the world. This is all we can do. Nothing's gonna happen. It never happens for me. That type of stuff. But there's always a bright side, right? But
Right.
people tend to pull the cover over their head and just run and hide and within themselves, and just have doubt and just look at the downside of everything, bro. And that's depressing, man. That's a lot of. It's too much. It's just doing too much.
Absolutely, man.
What are your thoughts on that, man?
It's funny. It's great you actually mentioned Inside Out because I just seen the sequel last night. so so it's kind of like, okay, yeah, like there are so many emotions that obviously we do go through
Mhm.
in our lifetime, but not only that, year to year, month to month, day to day, and oftentimes minute to minute or even second to second.
Boy.
So I would say you have to have, I always talk about that word balance.
Mm.
Again, there's always that time and place for everything. But if you don't, if you're always exercising the negative of what could go wrong, I mean, it's gonna always be hard to, it's like you're sealing your own fate
Mm.
of what could go right for you. You're not even giving yourself the chance, you're not allotting yourself any time to do well. You're just kind of expecting the worst, therefore the worst just might come.
Um, Man, I'm glad you said that because when you expect the worst, that's all that's going to happen, man. Because you're looking towards that, you're thinking about it. All your energy's focused on the worst that can happen. You know what I'm saying? Uh, People need to understand and realize that energy that you create is the energy that's in your atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? As you mentioned, Inside Out, man, I was thinking about the takeover emotion, which is anxiety, man. That character,
Oh man.
whoever came up with that idea and the presentation of that anxiety character, man, they nailed it, bro. That was just great. But
Awesome.
that's how things can happen, bro. If you let an emotion take over, then that's where you at. It's almost
Mhm.
like there's no way out until it's way too late, and then you gotta basically cry for help. And some people don't know how to cry for help because they're stuck in that little corner. Man, that was great, man. I like that. But doubt is one of those emotions that can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It can overtake you if you're not careful and cautious about how you view things, how you act on things, and how you tend to get drawn away from the other emotions that can balance you out. Mm.
Mm. Wow.
So the next one, if you're done with that, you got
I'm
more? You
good.
good? All right,
No,
cool,
I'm
cool,
good.
cool, cool. Topic of emotional women, emotional men. We're just moving right down the line. We are at the third bullet point, which is why do they do this, man? What is it really about? And this third bullet point is hate. Just because generational, racial, you name it, man. Some people are just drawn to hate, man, for whatever reason. Maybe it's something that they went through, something they seen happen, something they experienced, or something that didn't even happen to them, but they just get triggered and they can't turn the switch off, man. What's your thoughts, bro?
Wow. I think it's funny, man, because when you design these points, a lot of times they're coinciding with one another. So I do think that in this case, obviously not all could be attributed to this, but
Mhm.
doubt can come into play because when you're not trying to walk in your own purpose, you're when you see someone else who might be doing just that,
Mhm.
you're kind of starting to feel some kind of way because you're not doing what you should be doing. So when
Mm,
you see someone else doing what they're doing,
mm.
you're kind of like, you feel in some kind of way like there's just this cloud of hate that
Wow.
that engulfs you, and it's kind of almost like malice, where you just can't get out of your own way to be happy for someone else.
Man, dude, I think you just hit a bullet point for real. I mean, a bullseye, a double bullseye, in fact, because you said when people recognize somebody else doing what they need to be doing what they're supposed to be doing what they should be doing, then they feel some type of way within themselves because they're not.
Right.
Man, that was
Right.
strong, bro. Uh, let's analyze that for a second. Let's take a little bit of time on that, bro. Okay, so in the block that I'm from, if I see somebody handling their business and raising the bar, then I'm like, okay, I got to step my game up. You know what I'm saying? I see them doing that. Okay, I'm gonna bring it too, right? But that mentality nowadays, it ain't there. So I'm gonna go to basketball because you and I and a lot of people can relate to either basketball or another sport or anything of competition, right? When you start a game, the opposite opponent or team or whatever, they bring a certain intensity, right? And if you're not there, then you obviously have to raise your intensity to match theirs, right? And then at halftime or at a break or timeout, you try to come up with a strategy that would give you the advantage of your intensity over theirs, right? Off of what you've
Absolutely.
experienced so far. And a lot of times, especially nowadays, bro, when people see that intensity, game's already over. They throw in the towel. It's like, oh man, I ain't trying to work that hard. I ain't trying to do all that. What? Where is this coming from? What you got, bro?
Wow. Yeah, man. It's almost like I always say we live in this microwave society.
Mm,
So everybody just kind of wants something done quick, fast, and easy. And I think that third word, easy, is the one that I think people are just really looking for. So they want they want the accolades and the greatness, but
mm,
they want it easily. They don't want to have to work for it per se. They just want to have the glory but don't have a story behind it.
Wow, man, you coming with some fire today, bro. I love it, man. Oh
Thank
man. So what I'm gathering is people want to be acknowledged and appreciated for showing up for work.
right.
They don't want to be acknowledged and appreciated, or they don't want to put forth the effort to do something at work wise, to earn the appreciation or do what's necessary to do just their job, if anything else, for that acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, man, it's interesting because the first thing I thought about when you brought that up is sometimes people find themselves not only in that situation, but also on the other side of the coin where they're going above and beyond to
Mm-hmm.
to make things work and to make things thrive,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still not receiving the accolades or
Mm.
the adoration that they should probably garner. So it's kind of like, where does the hate truly come from, right?
Man, I got to go back to what you said earlier, man. You know, when people see somebody else bringing it, uh, and it works on both sides of the
Right.
spectrum. So if you can be a middle line person in the business, there are people above you and below you that have that type of hate. You know what I'm saying? As far as they see you bringing it, and they're in their position under you or above you, or even at the same level, and they're like, you know
Right.
that look, you know that look.
Right.
They like, they see you, they smile in your face, but soon you turn on them.
Hmm. Right.
But instead of saying, man, this dude or this woman, they on fire every day, man. They come with this energy every day. They have a positive attitude. They doing well with their job. They communicating well. They just next level, man. They want it. They after it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get that. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do that. You know what I'm saying? I gotta push myself to match their intensity. So instead of one person being the
Ringleader.
momentum,
Yeah.
yeah, be two or three or everybody getting that chain reaction, man. What are your thoughts, bro?
Absolutely, man. That's I think you kind of just summed up what the common goal should be.
Mm, okay.
And that's to have, success, for everybody,
Yeah, man.
not just for one person.
Hmm.
Because if everybody's, you know, going above and beyond, then everybody would then eventually reap the benefits of going above and beyond.
Man, which is so much better, dude. Because people don't realize the chain reaction that I was talking about. It's like I'm gonna analyze it like this. So you got this company, the stock just going through the roof. Everybody that is employed at this place, they love it. It's a great company to work for. They making money. The people that they're involved with, like getting the services from this company, are happy. They love it. They're dedicated. They're loyal. And then you got another company where it's the opposite. You know what I'm saying? The stocks are tanking. They're getting sued every 5 minutes. The employees hate their job. The people that shop there, either they're drawn to that type of environment, the negativity, you know what I'm saying? Or they just hate going there and try to find ways to go somewhere else. But because of the convenience of location or whatnot, they end up going there. What are your thoughts, bro?
Man, that's man, you said so much. I it one thing I noticed is that you mentioned this in a previous episode. People a lot of times people are so negatively driven,
Hmm.
um, that a lot of people try to kind of fall in that category of, okay, they're not doing this, so I won't do it either.
Mm.
But I think you mentioned it how, you know, it only sometimes it can only take one person to
Yeah.
really change the whole trajectory of everyone's outlook
Hmm.
and an entire company or an entire perspective. And it's like, it's amazing to see what one person's presence can actually do to get other people motivated, right?
Man, as you said, I was thinking about this old school movie, man. I'm trying to remember the title. Man, but it's not there. But it was a jury. It was 12 people, and it was a case, and everybody but one person was just all for calling this individual guilty, right? But this one person kept pointing out, this point, and then pointed out another point. The next thing you know, there were two like, okay, yeah, there's room for
Reasonable doubt.
boom, there you go. And then by the end of this movie show, whatever it was, all 12 were like, and the last person was the hardest to convince, man, because they had some type of bias, you know what I'm saying? They just had the inner nerve or muscle that just wouldn't release, you know what I'm saying? And they finally got that person to flip, you know what I mean, at the very end because it was just undeniable that the view that they was looking at was wrong and that one person had that ability to be that squeaky wheel. I guess if you look at it that way, they got everybody's attention to say, hey, even though it looks that way, it's like we're forgetting something or we're not looking at it through the right.
Lens.
Boom, there you go, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, man. It's like we were saying before, man. It's amazing how one's perspective
Mm,
can really just change everything, right?
yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think if I want to go here or not. Yeah, why not? So I remember when we did, I think it was like our very first episode.
Hmm.
And, we were talking about, the celebration of hip hop. And, we were talking about, our favorite MCs and who we
Hmm.
thought the greatest, people were.
Hmm.
And the funny thing about it all is, for me, that's what, makes the guy in my background the best at the craft. It's not just, the lyrical abilities that he might have, but
Hmm.
it's also the the perspective. I think that's the most valuable asset that he brings.
Mm, boy.
So to your point, it just kind of goes hand in hand where one person's perspective can really,
Change the
change the
world.
whole dynamics. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, man. For real. Um, wow. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. And we're talking about emotional women and emotional men. Don't ask me how we got to where we got, but it all ties up together. Trust me, it comes together at the very end. Uh, so the next bullet point, man, when it comes to emotional women and emotional men, what is it really about? And I have here the past. Something that happened that has you stuck, that you can't
Wow.
get past. What are your thoughts, bro?
Man, I think almost I don't I'm not gonna I'm definitely not gonna say everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
there are so many people who are definitely victimized by that.
Mm.
Um, Not allowing that past to be able to be just that, the
Mm-hmm.
past.
Boy.
They let it dictate so much of their future,
Mm-hmm.
that I think that's what has so many people stuck in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But they forget that it's your present that determines your future.
Boy. And while you're there, man, I'm gonna hit this from the women's perspective and the men's perspective. So I'm gonna go at relationship type of things,
Sure.
uh, because this is huge in our society, man. A lot more huge than people think. So they always talk about baggage. Um,
Mm,
so if something occurred to, let's say, a woman in the past, maybe she was harmed in some way, verbally or physically. Hopefully, that's not happening to anyone, but yes, it does happen. It has happened, and hopefully, nobody's dealing with that now. But the possibilities, percentage wise, are there. Uh, so that's going to be a scar, right? It's going to be baggage, um, especially when they meet somebody new. They're trying to move forward, and let's just say this person is reaching for something in the cabinet, and that person is standing there, right? And they're not expecting them to reach for it, but they reach for it, and then they jump like they're about to, you know, oppose violence to them or present violence to them. That's that past
Wow.
that they can't let go, that they don't even realize is still there, and that creates a horrible, awkward moment for that guy, you know, because he's like, well, I'm not even like that. I was just reaching for the cereal out the cabinet and you jump like your life depended on it. What's going on with that, And then all of a sudden you have to talk about that, or if it's even something that can be spoken on by that person that jumped. And so that's the woman's view of, holding on to something in the past that you can't let go. Hold on your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jump to a man's side. Let's just say, I'm gonna do this, man. I told you I was bringing some junk today. Let's just say he got burnt during the process of interaction with the person that he's with, right?
Wow.
Why you do that, evolution? Let's just say he got burnt, feeling a little fire behind a desire. Of course, that's going to scar some things and make that guy ask questions or do things a little differently in the future to keep that from happening. Off of those two examples, bro, what you got?
Man. Wow. Boy, you hit on a lot in two examples.
Sorry to do that to you, man, but I think it's relevant, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say for that first example, man, it's a scary situation because people are carrying around so much baggage, man. Like you said, sometimes it's realized, but oftentimes it's actually not even realized or not even known. And then you're not necessarily fully healed, and then you go into another situation, thinking you're good to go, but sometimes you have to be careful because if you're not fully healed in some of these past instances, you'll find a way to, unfortunately, psychologically sabotage what your future could be with the person you're currently seeing.
Boy, man, I can't touch that, man. That was perfectly stated. Then the next example.
In the next example, it's funny because I can't help but think of, me in popular culture. So I can't help but think of the movie, Why Did I Get Married? Tyler Perry.
Okay.
And if you remember, there was, of course, it was all about couples going to like a marriage retreat for, a 3-day weekend or so just to kind of get away and rejuvenate their marriage. If they had any issues, maybe they can kind of strengthen that bond and, come back stronger.
Right.
But one couple, let's just say there was infidelity between both parties. And, the guy, was going through the burning since, I'll call it sensation. That's not so sensational.
Right.
And, asked his, another one of their friends who was, a pediatrician, hey, can you give me something for this? And he's like, man, you've been messing around on your wife. And he was like, yeah. So, the crazy thing about all of that is that come to find out, she was messing around on him too, and she's the one who actually gave it to him.
Right,
So all
right.
that time, he was like, "I don't know if I probably shouldn't sleep with her since I know I got this that I probably got from the person I was messing with."
Hmm.
But, she was actually the one that gave it to him, and she was like, "I've already got checked and taken care of. I was just waiting on you to say something." And I'm like,
Wow.
"That's called, hurt people hurting people."
Mm, man, dude, that's huge. That's another bullseye. Hurt people, hurting people. Man, we gotta have some on that later. I'm gonna write
Yeah,
that down, bro, because
yeah,
that's powerful, and this goes on, man, for real. Whether it's on purpose or accidental, um,
right.
which either way is catastrophic, man. Uh, I just can't believe that this goes on, but it does, man. I'm glad you said that, man. I'm writing this down before I forget. Boy, that's strong. Um, we doing it today. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we're talking about emotional women and emotional men, and we're going a whole direction to come around and tighten it up at the end. Uh, we talked about previously what is it really about. We talked about the selfishness about it, the doubtfulness about it, the hatefulness about it, and holding on to the things of the past that you can't let go of or don't even realize you're holding on to. And now we're going to move into the bullet point of bad decisions. Uh,
Mm.
mm, mm, bad decisions, man. So when you think about why people are emotional, men and women, and you have to ask yourself, why are they like this? You know what I'm saying? What's really going on? And then when you think about the decisions that some people make that cause things to happen that they don't want to happen, or things occur that they never thought would happen, sometimes they get embarrassed about that or ashamed of it, or they just want to push it under the rug, which is still there, right?
Right.
What are your thoughts, bro?
Wow. What I often find is that people have a large tendency to compound one bad decision with another bad decision.
Okay.
And it's kind of like it's one of those things where instead of just understanding, okay, this is what I've done wrong, let me make or take steps in the right direction to make sure
Mm,
that, this is minimized or hopefully doesn't even happen again at all.
mm.
Sometimes they're emotionally unbalanced, and before they know it, they've only made a second decision that followed the previous decision that was only 10 times worse.
Or because they become emotional about it.
Right.
Wow. Instead of having a rational thought and saying, let me look at this with an unbiased thought process, let me do the research, or let me look into this in a way that is structured, I guess, uh, because the emotions are off balance. You just say, any, meeny, miny, mo, you know, and you do this because, or you do it in spite of something that's going on, man. That's crazy. What's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, man. I think, man, people have the tendency to just, they, like I said, being in this microwave society,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we're always just moving, 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 doing, 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 trying to get through the day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I mean, that's a normality because we're all, we all have a set thing that we have to do and how we have to get things done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think the problem comes into play when you just kind of start making decisions without any thought. You just kind of just,
Mm.
doing things and it's kind of like, it doesn't all, i- in many cases, it's going to turn out, not so favorable because you're not really putting any real thought at all into any decision making that you're doing. And then on top of that, you compound it with, people like to do recreational drugs. They like to do,
Mm.
maybe they like to drink socially and all that.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like, me and my wife always talk about this. If you're always in a chemically induced state, you're going to have to question almost every decision you really make.
Wow, because you know what? You can say I need a drink and get a little buzz for now, but guess what? When that buzz goes away, the problem is still there. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? You got to become a problem solver, uh, not a problem complainer or a problem. Uh, what is it? What is it called? You try a problem avoider.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's become problem solvers instead of complaining about stuff that's going on and trying to create an alternate reality
Come
like
up
that.
with a Yeah,
Yeah,
you like
yeah,
come up with an actual solution to actually solve
yeah,
the actual problem.
yeah, yeah. And that energy, when you attack the problem and solve it, is so much stronger and so much potent than the other one because
Right.
that problem's still lingering. I mean, let's just jump back a little bit. If I guess your partner or you or both of you kind of crossed the fence and went and got with somebody else and then came back to that relationship, even if you're not telling about it and talking about it, you're giving signals. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That you don't even realize you're getting giving signals. And also, if that bond is strong enough, that person that you with already know you're doing that because they felt it prior to you doing it because of how you were acting. And people don't realize that before you do something like that, you start acting a certain way. What are your thoughts, bro?
Bro, you just triggered something.
Yeah.
So I gotta go here. So popular culture. There's a sequel to the Why Did I Get Married movie called Why Did I Get Married 2?
Hmm.
And in the film, one of the couples, a different couple, realized that, his wife was extremely happy to the point where he was just kind of like, he noticed the day and time that it started. So
Yeah.
he was just kind of taking, mental notes. He didn't think much of it.
Hmm.
And then they were just kind of having conversation one day, and she accidentally uttered another man's name, but she tried to
Ooh.
kind of, be a little slick with how she did it and tried to make it seem like it was something different.
Mm.
And he started really paying even more attention then.
Yeah.
So fast forward, and he he gets to a point where he's like, I got to bring this up to her. It's this guy's name such and such because I remember you bringing this up at this point in time. And she was like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
And he's kind of like, you can't be that arrogant to think that I wasn't paying attention. He
Right.
was he was like, did you meet this guy or go on a date with this guy on this date? And it was just kind of like, she was just kind of like, he really was paying attention. So I say all that
Yeah.
to say, you know, w- to prove that point that Tyler Perry was making, like,
Hmm.
never be so arrogant to think that your significant other is not paying attention to you, because even though you think they may not be,
Hmm.
they really are.
And I'm gonna go here, bro, because long relationships or passionate, deep relationships, people don't realize that your partner sometimes know you better than you know yourself.
That's a real possibility, man. It really is.
Heck yeah, heck yeah, because they can be like, "Well, it's 4 o'clock. My spouse is doing this right now." You know what I'm saying? And then you get a camera on their spouse, and they're doing exactly what that person just said, right? But we don't have that camera. This is not the movies. This is reality. But it's all about trust. You know what I'm saying? And knowing who you with. But that's really hard to do if you bring somebody to a relationship that you're presenting like it's you and it's not.
Right.
Because sooner or later, you're gonna show up. Ooh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey man, we touching on some stuff today, so let's take a break and get into one of our segments. I didn't seen it and I didn't heard it all. Man, this is crazy. A Pennsylvania student spends years building world's tallest hat. Uh, Now, when you talk about students and how they use their creativity, that's out there, bro. I mean, of all things to think about and do for years, you're going to invest that into making a hat that's 17 foot
17 feet?
9.5 inches. This is a cap, man, that this person made. I guess it's a Guinness Book of World Records tallest hat or something, man. But this is, come on, man. Come on, man.
I mean,
If I'm gonna invest years into something,
it
it's
has to
gonna
be
it's gonna be something that matters, bro. I mean,
right.
again, it mattered to this person to get in the Book of World Records, but come on, man. I mean, it's so many other things that are of importance, of relevance, of legitimacy that you can dedicate years to, other than a hat.
It's funny you mentioned this because there are so many great records, so many astonishing records that, people really worked hard to achieve.
Yes.
And that's amazing. And then on the flip side, there are like so many other tons of other records. And you're kind of like, you invested time in that.
Right? Hey man, that's really saying a lot. That's what's going on with the world today. Not everybody, but a selected few, bro. And that's one of them, man.
Oh man.
I got one more for you, man. This is a total different episode of something going on, and it's crazy. You'll see what I'm talking about. Toad found in bag salad brought from the grocery store. Uh, right? First of all, okay, this made it past the packaging process, the the delivery process, and the stocking process. And when I see something wrong with somebody's stuff, I'll point it out. But this made it all the way to somebody's home.
Wow.
A toad found in a bag,
Oh my God.
bought from the grocery store, bro. And what's crazy is I'm thinking it's still alive, man, because the group, it's a reptile group that's caring for this toad, right? So it was alive, it was moving around in there, bro. What are we doing? That we don't notice this. First of all, you don't notice it before you take it home and buy it. Come
I,
on,
th- I
man.
I thought about that as well.
Come on, man. We
Dang.
we
How's that
really
possible?
we really got to pay attention, bro. I'm like, I'm not shopping at that grocery store ever again, right?
Wow.
Yo, I done seen and I done heard it
Heard it
all.
all. Dang.
Man, yeah, that's crazy. Both of those is crazy, man. Um, but this stuff goes on. I can't make this stuff up, y'all. So back into the action, man. We on 6 of 10. And the topic, once again, thank you for tuning in. We love doing this. We love y'all listening to it and paying attention. But most importantly, we love bringing the points so it can hopefully make your life a little bit better. So when we're talking about emotional women and emotional men, we already hit on self and how it can be selfish, doubt, how it can be doubtful, hate, how it can be hateful, uh, the past, how people can't let go sometimes and don't even realize they still holding on, and bad decisions, which can be emotionally done as well. So the next bullet point is afraid of change. Man, what you got, bro?
Yeah, man. People, it's funny because I think this is. I think I'm gonna take this more universal. So
Okay.
I think at some point in time, man, at some point in life, we all can kind of relate to being afraid of some sort of change at one time or another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of times, people allow that to be the tide that really does hold them back in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the beauty of change is, when you're that afraid of a certain change in particular,
Mm-hmm.
you stunt your own growth.
Ooh, nice. Absolutely.
So the only way you can actually get to the level beyond where you currently reside is
Mm-hmm.
you have to embrace that change and kind of face it head on. That way you can continue to advance. Because if you don't, you'll be stuck where you are.
Man, as you were talking, man, my brain just working, bro. So I'm gonna analyze another women's point of view and a man's point of view on this one.
Okay.
Afraid of change. So there's a selective group of women out there. I'm not gonna highlight it, but you probably know what I'm talking about once I get started. That truly believe that because of what their physical appearance is, no matter where they are appeared, how ghetto or how negative or how much they're holding on to the past is, truly believe that a billionaire is gonna change their life, take care of them, spoil them in the stores, just take them to the most fancy restaurants, and just ball out on them because of what their physical appearance is. And the likelihood of that happening it's just as likely as you buying one ticket and winning the biggest Powerball ever, right?
Seriously.
It's like
Seriously.
a billion to one, right?
Right.
So, first of all, we're talking about afraid of change. If your mentality is the same as it always was, and you're not changing, but you're wanting something from somebody who's not even going to notice you
Hmm.
because of how you present yourself, you got to make yourself appealing to that type of person. You have to make yourself worthy of that type of person. You got to put in work to change up here. And
Mm.
then your physical will probably look a lot more better because if you change up here, you're going to realize going out the house with almost nothing on is going to attract wolves and wolves in cheap clothing, right? But if you're looking for
Wow.
a billionaire is looking way up here, right? And you got to be honest with yourself. What you're presenting is way down here.
Wow.
Hold on to your thoughts. So I'm going to jump to the men's side, right? Afraid of change. So you've been doing the same thing forever. You hollering at these chicks. You're being successful with all of them. I'll say it like that. Um, but the pattern that you're creating is building a ridiculous amount of problems because you got so many people calling, so many people coming around, showing up, and so many people giving birth to your offspring, which is going to really
Mm.
raise the amount of support that you have to pay. So if you got all this going on, how are you going to change to actually get somebody that's good for you or the right person for you, right? I mean, you're creating this tidal wave of problems this building and heading towards the shore to cause a tsunami.
Wow.
uh, what are your thoughts, bro?
Bro, you've presented quite a bit, dude. This is a double bullseye of a point that you made. Um, all right, situation number one.
Mhm.
um, yeah, man. I mean, if your mindset is not of a higher standard or a higher regard,
Mhm.
obviously you won't be able to attract the highest standards and the highest regards.
Boom.
And really, I think I'm gonna just make a short point. Like you said, a lot of these women want these multimillionaires and billionaires, people basically in the top 10% of the
Mhm.
world
Mhm.
income. And it's funny how all of them think that they deserve this. Um, now, I the point that I'm going to stress is you mentioned how the mindset of a person who makes that kind of money is kind of looking up here, right?
Mhm.
Uh, they have to remember, with that being said, because they're looking like this, it's like the Nazca lines, you can only see them from up high.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in other words, if you're not of that very thing that you're saying you really want to be with, it's just going to be hard for you to attract it. And you have to be in that mentality mentally, to your point, because you just won't, like you said, man, there's just no way you'll even catch that other person's attention. You wouldn't even be on that person's radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, yeah, you just have to, if you want that kind of change in your life, then you have to be that kind of change in your life.
Boom. And I'm gonna say this, bro, because this goes for both sides before you get to your second example.
Sure.
People on that level of a billionaire's thinking and thought process, they're not looking for things that are gonna take them backwards. They're looking for things that's gonna take them forwards. In other words, if you're a power moving dude who's pulling billions of dollars in, you're looking for a woman who's a power mover who's going to take you to the hundreds of billions. And that's very rare, bro. If you're a Barack Obama, you're looking for a Michelle Obama, right? Uh, I can't say anything better than that. Same on the dudes area. Women are also looking for a dude to take their life to the next level. You know what I'm saying? If their head's on right, say for instance, she's an attorney. You know what I'm saying? And she's gonna not look at anybody else who's not at least an attorney, right?
In
But
most cases, yeah.
yeah. So if you're a doctor, you got some options. You know what I'm saying? If you're a business owner, you got some options. And I mean, if you're heavily involved in the stock market on a positive end, you know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna strike a nerve in this woman who's obviously focused on her career, but you can't just walk up in tennis shoes and sneakers and say, "Yo, I spit rhymes for a living. Let's go do something." That ain't.
It's hilarious.
Go ahead, bro.
That's funny, man. I'll speak to that as well.
Okay.
But I'll say, to to your second point that you made, yeah, man. I mean, you have to. It's we're in a day and time where it's even hard for a lot of men to be successful,
Mm,
uh, in general, and then to be, in the limelight where you garner a lot of female attention.
Mm.
That's another thing as well. But it's funny, man. All I could think about me and popular culture when you mentioned it was Boomerang.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man.
Eddie Murphy and Boomerang. It's kind
Mhm.
of, one of those things where you just have to, because the whole moral of that story is, he had spent his whole persona was, I just want to, do what I want to do. I want to be with these women, and it is what it is. If any of them catch feelings for me, oh well, I don't know what to tell them. But
But
the ironic part of that is when he met the woman that made him catch feelings, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And to his surprise, she was doing him the way he was doing all the other women. So I kind of bring up that because karma's real.
Yeah, yeah.
And what you do, what you put out into the world really does come back to you.
Absolutely, man. But I think even a bigger point of what you brought up is he was looking for perfection. But in his mind, perfection looked a certain way. But the perfection that he needed wasn't somebody that was just going to comply with his every need. It was somebody who was checking him on areas that he needed to improve on. Right.
Right.
So she made him better. And then when he realized that, it was only because after she had left, you know, and I use the saying, "You never wish your water till your well runs dry." Uh,
Hmm.
when you got a full glass of water and you're not thirsty because your thirst is quenched, obviously everything is all good. You're not thinking about the importance of that liquid, right? And then you acting however you acting, you treating it however you treat it, right? But let's just say you knock that glass over and it breaks. And then all of a sudden you're like, I got water, but I ain't got no way to, you know,
Consume it.
yeah, yeah. Or you just knock it over and it spills, and now you have the cup, but no more water. You know what I'm saying? You don't think about those things until after the fact. Uh, so it's a lot of people out there that are looking for something that's not even good for them or not even possible for them to have when what they really need is right there in front of them. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, man. I think, and this actually kind of goes, this is perfect because it actually goes back into the other previous point that you had made that I was going to
Mm,
touch on.
okay.
So a lot of times, I think, man, we're in this society where I hate to say it, people are so programmed to
Mm,
do and think a certain way,
uh-huh.
to carry themselves a certain way, to feel a certain way,
Hmm.
to react a certain way.
Boy.
Um, and a lot of times we always define happiness as one thing.
Mm,
Um, so so a lot of times for a woman, she's feeling like, okay, I can only be happy if my man is bringing in, 6 to 7 figures minimum, and he's doing this and driving this and,
mm,
doing all, and it's kind of like there's a big saying, what you do is, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's kind of
mhm,
like, um, what you do or what you consume is kind of who and what you are.
mm, okay.
So if you're in a scenario, you have to be careful with anything in excess, right?
Boy.
Because a lot of times you want this and you want that, and then you finally get it and you realize, oh wow, it's not what I thought it would be.
Mhm.
Or here's a really interesting concept, and I think I'm actually leave it here.
Okay.
Um, people have this large tendency to just feel like I have to have this or I have to have that because I came from this and I came from that. But the funny thing is, who you are, who your character traits actually are, that's what's going to manifest itself no matter what lifestyle you live.
Right.
So if you're a person who has a weak mentality when you didn't have much money, guess what? If you still have a weak mentality, you're just going to be a weak-minded person who has a lot of money. And guess what? Because you're weak-minded, that money won't last you long.
Boy, you'll end up right where you was before because that's where you're still at.
Right.
Man,
Right.
bullseye. Man, let's keep it moving. Woo! We touching on some stuff, man. Emotional men,
Yeah.
emotional women. What is it really about? Uh, so let's look at the uncertainty. Uh, you know, I'm also use the word confidence or the lack thereof. Um, when people have a wall built up, it's usually because they're uncertain of themselves or they lack confidence in themselves, and how they combat that is to be combative. What is your thoughts, bro?
Wow. Yeah, man. People are always, wow. The word you use, combative, man. People,
Mm-hmm.
I think we live in a world where I think people operate on a frequency of being combative.
Mm.
And, it's funny because when you don't operate on that frequency, the people who do, they looking at you like you're the one with the problem.
Boy, that ain't the truth. Go ahead, bro.
It's funny, man. It's funny. Yesterday I was actually at work and I had a evaluation from my supervisor, and
Mm-hmm.
him and I on a personal level are really cool, really tight.
Mm-hmm.
But when he gave me my work evaluation, he had mentioned something that I was kind of like, it was just kind of like, really?
Yeah.
And he was saying the way I was presenting myself when I'm talking to my customers, he was like, I think you could use improvement to do a certain way when you approach your customers. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm letting you know now that there's a reason why I approach my customers the way I approach them. And this is a reason why.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of like, I think when I broke it down to him, I think he understood better,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just kind of one of those things where it was just kind of like, you want me to be a bit more combative with my customers? That doesn't help the situation.
No, no, no.
you
That's
know?
gonna have a negative effect, bro. It's gonna bring your production down, actually.
Right, right.
Mhm.
But also, man, and I want to just throw this in to close out this part of my segment.
Okay.
Um, Me and popular culture. So there's a song, man, by Kendrick Lamar,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always think, people with fear and uncertainty, a lot of times it almost goes hand in hand because people are kind of just like, I just don't know what's on the other side of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes them a little fearful on the decision making process when it comes to whatever, this entails.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, this song called Fear by Kendrick Lamar, man, the song is so powerful, man. That I would actually regard it, and this is coming from me now,
Okay.
as a top 5 hip hop song of all time.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah,
Whoa. And it's not Nas.
and it's not Nas.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm very fair. I've got him. Maybe he's only in like 1 or 2 songs for the top 5.
That's
So
still strong coming from you, bro.
yeah,
Because
I'm. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
you usually don't give too many props if it's not Nas.
No, man, I'm very very fair, man.
I'm just messing with you, bro. I'm just messing with you. Don't take it serious.
But yeah,
But you,
man.
yeah, yeah. But you
When you when
definitely. I mean,
yeah,
because when I look at behind you, I don't see Kendrick Lamar. I see Nas,
oh yeah, yeah.
and that's all I see.
Hey, I'm very multifaceted.
Oh man,
But
yeah,
yeah,
man.
I was just gonna mention. I'll say it this way. I recommend everybody to actually listen to this song. And it's
Copy that.
a pretty long song,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to pay very close attention to the detail in each verse because each verse is a different segment of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, yeah, check
Just
that out
check
when
it
you
out.
get a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
check it out. You're gonna have to have one more listen, more than one listen to it to get everything that's being spoken.
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. All right, man. So after that, we have blame. Basically blaming everything and everyone before still not blaming yourself for
Hmm.
what's going on with you. What you got, bro?
Lack of accountability, man.
Mm,
Uh, people, it's one thing to make a mistake and
hmm
realize, okay, I've made this mistake and I have to be better from this mistake. You know, people, I think, that's the problem with I think society is that we don't realize what the purpose of a mistake because everything literally has a purpose.
hmm
The
hmm
purposes of mistakes are to literally build your character and you learn from that mistake so that you can be better from it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But instead of people owning that mistakes, owning the mistakes that they're making, they're saying,
hmm
it's this person's fault why this took place in my life, or
hmm
um I'm not the one who should be held accountable for this when this is how things have always been. And it's kind of like, I mean, if it's a decision that you made, I mean, you're gonna have to at some point take responsibility and accountability for that mistake. And I
mm
mean, I get it. There can be other surrounding circumstances that in some cases could be beyond one's control.
mm
So you can decide on how much responsibility you want to take, but you're going to have to definitely take some accountability for the mistakes and the decisions that you make. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes. And what's worse, even more mistakes. And before you know it, you would have lived a semi lone life. And you're kind of like, man, what did I do with my life?
mm. Boy, blamed everybody else for your mistakes. Mm. Uh, uh,
That's heavy.
what? Yeah, what I was thinking as you were talking, bro, is even when certain people are wearing all the evidence that it's them. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about a kid in a cookie jar that got chocolate chips all over their face. Have you been in the cookie jar? No.
And,
uh,
and he'll say it with a straight face, too.
yeah, man. So the kid in the cookie jar mentality, you're wearing all the evidence that it's all you, right? But you're doing everything you can to put it on everything and everybody else as if you're going to get scolded by a parent.
Hmm.
Uh,
Wow.
that's all I
Bullseye.
got on. Yeah, that's all I got on that one, bro.
Bullseye.
All I have to say on that one is take a look in the mirror and see you for what you really are, because
Yeah.
the mirrors don't lie. you might
Yeah,
be lying. You might be lying to yourself, but the mirror ain't gonna lie to you. What you got, bro?
man. Yeah. And it's actually I'm on a hip hop kick today on this
Yeah.
show. So
Okay.
I'm gonna make a Jadakiss reference.
Okay.
If you can't be real with yourself, you're not right.
Hmm.
So, in other words, people have a tendency to always be like, "Oh, I'm so real. I can tell you the truth about you to your face," and that's fine. But, your real character is, can you tell the truth to you?
Man, that's a triple bullseye, man. Because it's a lot of people who don't even understand that statement because they just don't want to understand that statement.
Right. Right.
Have you ever paid attention to that, bro? I'm gonna go here real quick. When you bring so much truth to somebody and so much factual information, all they can say is, I don't understand the question." Right? They're trying to find a way to weasel around something that they can't weasel around. right?
Wow. Wow.
That's just funny. Or they're looking for a distraction or anything to get them out of that, scenario. But instead of facing it, you know what I
Head
mean?
head on and conquering that beast, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next bullet point we have today is dealing with emotional women and emotional men, and wondering what's really going on about that. Is they're uneducated. They know
Wow.
everything. They know everything, but they don't know nothing, right? They got all the answers to everything, and their view is everything because they know what they're talking about, but they don't really know nothing about what they're talking about. What you got, bro?
Wow. It's this is for me a bullseye question
Okay.
because people have a tendency to just to feel like because this is their own particular perspective on something
Mm-hmm.
that it is law.
Mm,
And it's one of those things where in certain cases I can understand when you stand on a solid foundation,
mm-hmm.
then you're pretty equipped to make that, I guess, come to that synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is in many cases, and we see it every day, most people are definitely not on a solid foundation. It's
Mm.
kind of it's like, building a house out of straw, you know.
Boy, that was dangerously sound, bro. That was dangerously sound. Man, you got to keep going on that one. Expound on that a little bit.
I mean, yeah, to your point, man, I think and I know you got it, but I think it's just more of a almost at this point a self-explanatory thing. If when you build your house, you definitely want it on that stern, solid, strong, format, as opposed to when you're using a material that's soft like tissue.
Mm,
I mean, you have to understand that that house won't be able to withstand the smallest breeze, let alone rain, hail, sleet, and snow.
boy, uneducated, uneducated, bro. And I'm trying to think of an example that's really, really undeniable when it comes to uneducated. Um, and trying to present yourself as if you know way more than what you know. Um, I'll go here. Let's just say you are you're a brainiac in a certain field. Let's just say um, science. You're a brainiac in science, and that's where your knowledge is. You can just destroy anybody that stands in front of you with science. You know what I'm saying? If that's your category, boom, you're gonna light them up. That's where your uh, your knowledge base is, and you come up against someone who is extremely savvy in religion. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So you know that religion and science usually don't really mix. So you're gonna try to use your science-based knowledge to influence someone who is strong on religious-based knowledge, and vice versa. It's never gonna happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be a wall that you both hit, and nobody's willing to go from one side to the other. Um,
Wow.
what are your thoughts, bro?
Dude, that's an excellent point because I think the whole purpose of you mentioning that is to, get us to wake up to the fact that there are points just because there are two opposing points
Hmm.
doesn't mean that there isn't some conjunction with both points being made in the first place.
Yeah.
So, in other words, just because you feel science is the way or religion is the way,
Hmm.
honestly, there are times where both of them, believe it or not, can actually coincide with one another.
Yeah, but it
And go ahead.
but is either side willing to coincide with one another?
Exactly. That's the point that you're basically saying we got to get out of our own way
Mhm.
so that we can kind of see those common denominators. Because if we don't see the common denominators, we'll never get anywhere.
Boy, and that's why, honestly, bro, there's still racial tension in the world.
Yep. Yep.
Some people see only black and white. They don't see gray or blue or
Or purple and orange and red. And I think you ladies and gentlemen get the gist. There's a
which
whole
is which is sad because it's a lot you're missing out on, bro.
man, basically it's a whole spectrum of colors, so you got to focus on more than two.
Yeah, but if you take out all the um, the creation or creativity of one aspect, let's just say brown skinned individuals, you're going to have a hard life because of
Hmm.
all the things that the brown skinned individuals created throughout time.
Both known and unknown and talked about and not talked about. Good
Boom.
point.
All right, let's move forward. We're getting off topic, man.
Man,
But
man.
we making mad points today. You got to give it credit where credit is due. Um, Last one for the day, bro. When it comes to, oh, this is strong, man. Emotional women and emotional men. What is it really about? The last one for the day on purpose is afraid to fail, looking forward to failing, and not even
Hmm.
going to try.
Wow.
What do you got, bro?
Man, this is a scenario where, and it just applies, man, to every aspect of life itself. So it's beyond the individual genders of, male and female or masculinity and femininity.
Hmm.
This is just truth in your face where you just have to understand that if you don't try, you will never succeed.
Hmm.
If you don't put in an effort to go for anything, you will never know what you could have accomplished. And I think the biggest thing, and I'll actually close it out with this: if you don't try to go for a goal that you set,
Hmm.
you will never realize that your potential was so limitless that you could have
Hmm.
went way beyond it.
Boy, that's strong. Bullseye. Um, I'm gonna go this way because I think a lot of people can understand it. Hopefully, um, because something is available doesn't mean you have to take it, use it, purchase it. Um, I now go here like a lottery ticket. Um, a lottery ticket is just that. It's a lottery ticket. Um, and you can complain all day about people who purchase lottery tickets, but if you don't purchase a lottery ticket at all yourself,
You'll never win.
at least the people that are purchasing lottery tickets have a chance. They give themselves a chance to win,
Right,
uh, even if it's just a dollar. You know what I'm saying?
right.
That's a dollar that they wouldn't have won had they not bought the ticket. Now, there's another angle I can use. They spending all their money on lottery tickets that aren't going to win them anything. But there are people out there every day who win the lottery and they
Hmm.
win big, right?
Right.
So you can't talk to them about not buying a lottery ticket because they know for a fact that buying a lottery ticket changed their life, right? So
Wow.
it's just basically how you look at it, man, and you can't be afraid to fail because you're failing before you even give you a chance to start. You know what I'm saying? And let's look at how the light bulb was created. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made. time and time again. But the motivation behind the creator of the light bulb was like, I'm not failing. I'm learning what not to do so I can be succeed. Right.
Right.
So it's all about figuring out what you want to do in life. It's all about understanding life, and it's all about not hiding behind emotions or using emotions as an excuse. You're solving the problem. You're not running away from it. You're not avoiding it. You're not sweeping it under the rug. You're analyzing what the problem. You're realizing what the problem is, and you're going dead into that problem, and you're fixing it so that problem won't exist anymore. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, man. I think, like I always say, there's a time and a place for everything. So there is a time and place, for trial and error.
Hmm.
You have to figure out what works for you versus what doesn't work for you. If you don't try something, you'll never know if it works or doesn't or not.
Yeah.
So I think, going in there with a positive mindset, um, and not expecting the worst outcome. If you try, if you give an honest effort at something, you'll be surprised on what the results would be.
Absolutely, man. And you got to give yourself an honest effort. First of all, you have to know what that is, and you really have to give that. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we get in our comfort zone. You know what I mean? And we think that our comfort zone effort is a great effort, but it's not. It's just you have to go outside that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If you run a mile every day, that's great. But if you don't extend that mile to 2 miles, and then you get comfortable with 2 miles, if you don't extend that 2 miles to 3 miles, then you're just you're gonna level off. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna exceed anything. You're not gonna accomplish anything beyond that bar or that ceiling that you're creating to where you can realize your full potential. You know what I'm saying? There's people out there running 26 miles. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Which is something.
Yeah, which most people can't run 5 miles. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So challenge yourself uh, to go to the next level. You know what I'm saying? To do better, to be better, to reach the level of what you're trying to, or what you think you deserve. You know what I'm saying? Uh, can't have a billionaire appetite and your own food stamps. That's-
That's a triple bullseye right there, man. I mean, for real. For real.
Hey man, I'm done. You got
Hey,
anything else?
no, man, I think that's the perfect benediction, if you will.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going on. I am Evolution, and this is my brother from another mother, Mr.
Poetics. Thank you guys
Hey,
for joining us, and I appreciate you tuning in for an hour and a half with us. Thank you guys.
absolutely. We'll see you in about a week. Peace.
Peace.